So another thing that you can kind of eliminate when you choose organic food is you can eliminate antibiotics. And this would, of course, primarily be something that we need for animal products, either meat or an animal product like eggs or dairy or things like that. So these are animal products. Are the animals given antibiotics? And what does that really mean? Well, you need to understand, first of all, people know what antibiotics are. They've taken them themselves, their kids have had an ear infection and they need to take them in and get something to cure a bacterial illness. So we tend to think of an antibiotic as something that's used to treat an infection. But in fact, 70% of the antibiotics that are manufactured go directly into animal feed, and it isn't to treat infections. It's to promote growth. So that's kind of a big stretch. So why would an antibiotic that cures bacteria diseases promote growth? Well, it doesn't. What it does is it keeps the animal alive so that it can continue to grow on a diet that is incredibly unnatural and makes the animal ill. So if you take a cow, which would need to eat grass, which is completely evolved to convert grass, which starts off as sunshine, energy, omega-3s, minerals from the soil, all of these wonderful things into their body, which would be nourishing for us, into their milk, which is nourishing for an animal. It's completely shortcut by giving the animal not the grass, but the grain, which is the seed of the grass, which is very, very energy dense because it's supposed to grow the next generation of grass. But instead we're using that grain to grow the next generation of animals. And it makes them fat, and it makes them make a lot of milk because it's very energy dense, but it makes them very, very ill. And they would sicken and die unless we gave them antibiotics. So one of the things that you know by choosing organic animal products is that there's no antibiotics in it used to treat for growth. And the benefit of that is their diet has to be a lot better, because if it wasn't, they would die. So you get kind of a double bang for your buck, which is, I think, one of the most important ones. Another big concern with antibiotics is because the animals are eating these antibiotics, and even though they say they're cleared from their system right before they give them to us, we're eating this antibiotic. And what happens is when these bacteria cause a disease in us, because our bacterial population is out of balance, we go to the doctor and the antibiotic won't work for us anymore. So we're seeing a lot more antibiotic resistance. And antibiotics are very, very new. People used to die of infectious disease a lot, and we just don't remember it because it was more than a couple generations ago. But if we start making all these superbugs, then it'll be like we don't have antibiotics at all. And that's going to scare people, but there'll be a big learning curve before we figure out how to manage those. So right now, we know that antibiotics work for bacterial diseases, but they don't work for viruses. So you need to think about in terms of turning something you can take an antibiotic for into something that we know has no treatment, like AIDS, colds, influenza. These diseases, they're viruses, and there really isn't much we can do except for support through taking care of them, because there isn't a drug that really treats them. And that's what's going to be happening to us with all these bacterial diseases. So when you choose organic, you're getting a lot less of exposure to those antibiotics that can create a long-term problem for you, not a short-term problem.